I'm just gonna gush on us again.
I'm listening.
I don't know if this is going on the podcast, but maybe. The fact that you and I can speak to each other the way we do, we love up on each other, and then we just like tackle it out and just like release the beast, and then
Yeah,
we laugh again.
it's epic.
It's it's just a freedom. It feels free.
Yeah,
It feels mm.
it's medicine. I love it. I'm grateful. Hashtag blessed.
Meanwhile, oh hey dreamer,
Oh, what's up, dreamer?
hold on. This
Who's
should
that?
probably be the thumbnail.
I'm just jealous I don't have them.
Oh, they're nice. My friend Christine got them for me. Thank you, Christine. Ah,
Shout out.
well, you want to get the show rolling?
Get the show on the road. We got shit to do. Let's
I guess
go.
shit. Let's go, bish. Watch out for the censors today.
I know. I know. Feel like
Yeah,
I feel like I play a big role in that. My hair's like flying. My hair is like, I'm ready to
yeah,
go.
yeah. It looks good though. It looks good. I like
It's
it.
like my midlife magical hair. It just does what it wants. It doesn't listen to me anymore. It's like, I do what I want.
Yeah, like you can't control me.
Control me. I'm midlife hair.
Like what the heck?
Midlife hair.
Midlife hair.
Mm, mm. Oh yeah, this is the audio part that's gonna
This
get
is the
weird.
mm,
When we're like,
mm, mm. Move the
and the
energy.
audio are like, what's happening in there?
What's mm,
Stretching it out, okay?
mm.
Getting ready to unleash the dream. Mm,
Whapa, whapa.
mm. Like,
My sweater's in the wash because it accompanied me last night.
go to worship.
Can I tell you, it's the first time I've really walked around the world with the sweatshirt,
Yes, how was
all
it?
around the emergency department, cafeteria, all the places in the hospital. And people would just like look
Mhm.
and look at my face and do like a whole double take. Like, but
Ish.
but you know what? I make it work because they're like, oh yeah, there's a reason why she has her face on that sweatshirt.
Yeah.
You know what? That's not just like a prop. That's not a joke. That's not like
Yeah. She's doing things.
she's doing things in the world.
Yeah.
And one of the nurses looked and said, "Oh, is that a podcast?" I was like,
I mean, I love that.
"Yes,
You recognized.
yes,
I love
it
it.
is a podcast,
Actually,
actually." Yeah.
I
Somebody
do.
was like, "Is that you?" I was like, "Yes, it is."
Yes. Yes. So,
So,
life be life and
mhm. Uh, I slept in like two small chairs in the emergency room last night. Should I pull up the picture?
of course.
I think I'm
Yeah.
gonna pull up the picture.
Visuals
Visuals are always
are everything.
so.
Oh, girl.
Oh, girl,
You made yourself a little cocoon.
I made myself. I made myself a little cocoon. Uh, yeah, it was not. We were not pretty. Well, pretty, yes, just a different kind of pretty.
Yes. Yes. Do you want to share anything about your experience?
Uh, yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking about in our pre-conversation a whole like choose your own adventure thing,
Mm. Yeah.
which was like, yeah, it like lands in a lot of ways
Yeah.
for like personal life, current climate, current, you know, all the
Yeah.
things. So out of nowhere, I had to call 911 for my hubs yesterday again, which we were just there in January. It was like a repeat, the sequel.
Yeah.
So back in the hospital, pretty much the same thing. He's stable, it's just something that's going to happen with having the trach and the vent and the whole situation. And I was totally like, I get into like, I'm always in a calm mode, focused, answer all the questions, take everybody through all the things. And for the most part, I'm always pretty chill. And then there might be a moment later in the day when it just like, uh, the
Yeah.
I just spill over. And it always looks a little bit different. And yesterday it looked like me sitting in the chair, in that little room, just like crying for an hour about just all the things and all these things colliding and my inner world just trying to make sense of things. And I'm at a point already in all of this where things make sense and also they don't make sense. I've matured a lot in everything we've dealt with. So I have a lot of wisdom when it comes to the things we're going through, like this inner sort of like knowing.
Yeah.
And also, it's like having that inner wisdom and also the little girl inside that's like having a fit because it's like, why? Like, why? You know, this all sucks. And I never ask, like, why us? Or it's just, this sucks. And I'm sad for my husband. I'm sad for Skylar. I'm so sad for me. And oh my gosh. And so it was like letting it all out. It was a good release.
Mhm.
Um, and then, the choices that we make and the not making, not going forward and that whole idea like being resilient because you're dragging yourself through to the next thing or pretending anything. But really from a place of which comes with the with time. And that's sort of like, all right, having lived through this a few times, and it's both knowing that we're going to be okay on the other side and also knowing that it's going to take a while for us to like get back into some sort of rhythm.
Yeah.
And yeah, it felt like a lot of like inner worlds colliding is the phrase that keeps coming up for me. So, yeah. So he's there now. His mom's with him. And I was like, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna meet with Sage. This felt extremely nourishing and like one of the good choices. And I'm also celebrating the fact that I've allowed myself to be very intentional with the choices of the things that really fill me
Yeah.
and casting off anything that doesn't and feeling so clear about I do what I'm doing because I want to do it in terms of these like extra things, right? Because there's all these things that I have to do.
Mhm.
And but something like this, it was like I'm exhausted. And of course I'm gonna sit. It's part of my rest. It's like my physical body is gonna go rest after this, but my emotional body, like I love that laugh. See, that laugh is medicine for me. It's medicine.
Oh, there's so much of what you're sharing, like this piece about intentionally choosing, and it allows us when we're being, look at me trying to find the right language. Don't do that, Sage. When we're being pulled into a space that needs so much of us. And then when we realize like there's just this little bit that's left over, right? Left over for us, and intentionally choosing like, how do I want to receive, give, like be with that piece of energy that's left over from the big thing that comes up, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful. And I think it goes back to that, those teachings that I do around like what can we control and what we can't control, and really just honoring the pieces we can't and showing up and being with them however we need to in that moment, but really being mindful about what we can, because then you do get to have this nourishing experience and the medicine and the rest, because you're not trying to be pulled in a million different directions. You're not choosing things based on what other people need you to choose or expectations. Like you're like, this is what
Yeah.
I need, and this is how I'm going to show up, and this is where I'm giving and receiving. And I think that's a beautiful gift we could all give ourselves.
Yeah. And I ask myself like, okay, what is vital in this moment and what is sort of extra fluff? Because our mind will play all these tricks on us of all the things that we feel like we have to do or like, and I'll just like pause for a moment and go, what are the things here that I can just completely like, you know, totally optional at this point
Yeah.
and really focus in on what are the things that really matter. And that's also something that's taken the discipline of working through and, messing things up and breaking a few plates and also asserting my voice in certain spaces. And, it's like this whole complete like testing all the time. And the
Yeah.
other thing that is I'm in a place where I've also intentionally worked through and with this idea of putting all the pieces of my life together. It's like, a lot of times we compartmentalize. It's like I've always seen this sort of a dresser and there's all these drawers
Mhm.
where a part of your life goes here and another part goes here. And then you sort of like you open the drawer and you focus on that version of yourself and then you shut it. And then there's the other one. And this can happen with our spirituality, with our life, with our friendships, with sort of different aspects. And I always thought, this shouldn't be a dresser. And this is pre ALS. I was like, it shouldn't be a dresser. It should be one big tray,
Yeah.
one big beautiful tray. And at first you sort of dump everything in and it's like, oh, that was a lot. And then
Right.
you sort of start sort of piecing, like taking things away and
Yeah.
curating, like, okay. And some aspects of the tray are a little messier and others are maybe a little bit more tidy, but everything plays in the same space. And to feel like I can bring all of myself to
Mhm.
pretty much every situation in my life is like hard to find the words how magnificent that feels and how true. Like that to me is like, oh, everybody wants to be authentic.
There you
That's
go.
it. Like that, you got to dump all of yourself, in that big tray and there you are.
Yeah, I think, I'm like, as I'm listening to you, I'm like laughing at this piece of myself that goes, well, I've had a lot of issues. I've had a lot of issues in my time with like lessons and life stuff and like, not getting in my own way or, all the things. But that is truly one thing that I think I didn't fall too deep into, was like trying to put pieces of myself in different compartments. First of all, I don't know how to show up like this. How do you put this in a compartment? I'm just asking for a friend. Like, I'm just like, I'm curious. Like, what you see is what you get has always been like my um because it's true. Like, I mean, how I show up at a grocery store is how I show up at a, teacher parent conference, is how I show up here with you. Like, it's like, I think that I've done really well, but it's because I think I haven't had traditional jobs, right? So I've had
Mm-hmm.
a lot of flexibility in my work life. I've worked at
Mm.
tattoo studio for 13 years. So I've always been able to kind of set my own rules up and decide like who do I want to like exist with. I didn't have to fit into anybody else's mold. And I think that plays a huge part in why it was a lot, I'm going to say easier for me, is because I've never had a traditional job. I mean, as a an adult, like as a teenager, I had traditional jobs, but like as an adult, I've always had my own job that I created in some way, shape, or form. And I think that
Yes.
played a massive role in this freedom that I have felt to be me 24/7. Because I was like, I think about it and I think, well, why didn't I do that? And it's because, well, I was always a working artist. I was always a working writer my whole adult life. So and then becoming a mom, it was like, I didn't go, oh, I can't do that anymore. I was like, how do I do it all together? And then it's like,
Hmm.
oh, I want to travel to this zine fest in Albuquerque. I'm gonna take my kids with me. It's a
Hmm.
road trip, you know? And so it was just like, I always integrated all the pieces together. But now, especially working with creative women who didn't have the freedom to do that, I'm seeing that this is a thing, like a
Yeah.
huge thing. And also, like the family members, like a lot of people hide themselves because of family. And, I come from like, my parents are both tattoo artists. And so we've always been weird, abnormal, I'm using air quotes, like we've never fit the mold in societal standards ever. So I think those pieces supported me in living this more free life because I was just sort of like, I didn't have to give a fuck about what other people thought,
Yeah.
even though in my life, that is one of the big things I'm unraveling is, receiving validation from other people versus myself. I'm not saying
Yeah.
I that issue, but I don't have it in that way where I had to hide myself. So it's interesting, but it's a huge thing. It's a huge gap in people being their authentic selves because they're still trying to play that game of let me put myself in the sock drawer and then in the sweater drawer, and it doesn't work.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I love that you shared all of that because you also had these perspectives of other adults in your life and then peers in your life and not just your parents, but other people you interacted with who were also like their tray was like blah, they were all out and it didn't
Yeah.
there wasn't any of that like, oh, I've got to mold myself to fit in
Yeah.
because you benefited from being part of the one of the misfits. Yeah, one
Right.
of the
Yeah.
society misfits, which ultimately we all because we want to have that freedom. It's like we want to be a misfit. You want to be the one that's like um has those, we have those creative inclinations. We want to think new things and that's ultimately the person that's sort of on on the outskirts.
Yeah.
Um I worked in corporate for many years. It was like
Totally different.
and I remember choosing my job. Talking about choose your adventure book, I chose to study marketing because I was like, I know I have a strategic business brain, but I'm also very creative. So I have to find a place where both of those parts of me can play.
Mhm.
And ultimately, it ended up being at first way more of a business track, but I always found spaces to work and collaborate with creative people and sort of be the bridge between the suits and the ones that were making things happen. Because I worked for a TV network, so it was a lot of whether it was creative graphics or promotions. I did events, so but that whole time there was certainly this pressure I felt on myself to that I put this pressure on myself to impress in a certain way and to be, this is how you act when you want people to take you seriously.
Mm.
And that played a huge role. And underneath the whole time, I was like, there's something I'm not this. Like I'm a different kind of creature.
Yeah.
And there was such a push and pull for years. And looking back, I chose all the adventures that, made up the story of who I am. And I love every one of them.
Mhm.
And if I hadn't chosen to do that whole corporate adventure, my son wouldn't exist.
Right.
Like my relationship wouldn't exist. My son wouldn't. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I cannot fathom a world without me marrying Jules and ultimately Skylar, which is like a higher octave of he exists because of the choices.
totally. Yeah.
Like, so I'm like, how could I possibly
No.
like
No.
this was always it.
Mhm.
Um, and seeing the reveal of, getting to a certain age where you're like, oh, huh, interesting. Okay. So who
Mhm.
am I really and what am I building on? That was already who I was
Yeah.
because I don't want to start from scratch.
Right,
Never been
right.
about that, right? Like part of
Yeah.
what we've always talked about here is that this isn't a like uh or even this idea of like finding yourself. I'm like,
Right.
what like okay, where?
Where's this bitch been?
Where? Like, isn't she always here just behind all these masks or in my case in all of these like separate compartments?
Right.
And
Yeah,
then
it's
maybe I think I felt if I put all the pieces of me together, imagine I was a puzzle.
hmm
And if I put all the pieces together, I would be so powerful that then I would make people uncomfortable.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, because I'm like, can I have the talking stick?
Yes.
Because I got something to say. Because what really I found is being in that world of artists and alternative folks and DIY, and you just like made shit work. It was like so inspiring, right? And and then like moving on into the work that I do now where I set up my own business, doing my own coaching programs and workshops. And then you get this kind of feedback of like, well, who do you think you are? Just coming in and creating your own business and your own programs. Where's your certification?
Mhm.
Who validated you to be able to show up and guide other people? And it's like, I've never had that experience. And I'm just like, are we serious right now? Like, so I fell into this trap of like, oh, I've got to prove myself. I've got to prove my worthiness to these people who are uncomfortable with themselves. So they're going to project that on me that I need to be uncomfortable. And so then I'm like, well, then how do I justify who do I think I am doing blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And so I spent a good chunk of time in that place of trying to prove my worthiness. Look what I've done. Look what I did. Oh, look at the clients who I've worked with. Look what they're doing. And
Mhm.
now I've reached this point where it's like, I'm not convincing anybody nothing. Okay. I
Mhm.
don't have time for that. I'm not
Mhm.
gonna like I feel like if you really took the time to have a conversation with me, to listen to me on any platform that I'm on, to go to my website, read about me, read about my journey, read testimonials from other people, like that would give you a good glimpse of like who I am and where my heart is and like what I'm up to. And so it's even though I came from the freedom, right? I still encountered that judgment of who do you think you are?
Yeah.
Because it made other people uncomfortable that I made my own job, that I carved my own space out in the world, and they weren't having none of that.
All right, I'm gonna snatch the talking stick back.
Done.
I'm glad you brought this up because I was curious. I was gonna ask. I've known you for a few years. We've now become, we're at a different level of blossoming in our friendship, but I've known you and
Mhm.
I know, like, I love hearing all this backstory. And then I know that there was a moment in time when, and okay, so this whole coaching world, right? Sage and I have a lot of things. Sage and I have a lot of
Yeah,
thoughts
thoughts.
about the molds that have been created for the type of people who want to have a creative business where they, again, because we believe in something, we just want to share it with other people, you know. And for me, like when I left exit like corporate world and I was like, all right, I'm going to build my thing. I was already coming from the standpoint of, okay, well, I want to learn. I want to sort of like enter a different space of, well, how do you do this thing? Like I have my ideas about what what I want to do in my own vision, but show me some of the steps, right? So I kind of put myself in that box and then realized pretty quickly and was like already from the beginning, like this box is very sus, as Skylar would say. This is very sus. But in that box, I met a lot of other really freaking cool people who were like we were like, I see you.
Hmm.
It was like, I see you.
I smell it
I
too.
smell right. And they smelled it, but we were like, but hey, if this sus box brought us together, like so Sage and I were sort of like both in this place where the cloth was cut in a certain way, right? It's like, this is the mold, this is how you do it. And if you don't do it, then I'm sorry, it's just not going to work. And there was a lot of manipulation that happens both from the people like us that were learning how to exist in the space and be successful at it, and the people that we were wanting to attract. Like, we didn't want to manipulate anybody, but the people that we were learning from had like a thick, multiple layers of manipulation that were very sneakily disguised. And there are a plethora of people out there that you can see, like, mm,
Yeah.
no, like
Yeah.
ego, money, power, like they're hurt themselves. So they feel like they want to assert themselves. And there's the manipulation that happens.
Hmm.
And I know Sage and I were both like, this smells all sorts of weird.
Yeah.
All that to say, because I know we got a lot more to say on that, put a pin on it for another chapter. Um, but in that instance, you, the free spirit, kind of like went into this like sort of little like box, right?
Yeah,
And you were
totally.
like, what? And then it's like, well, because somebody who is apparently doing this the way that,
You're
oh,
so
look, they're being successful. Meanwhile, behind the scenes is a different story. We're not going to name any names, but
no.
maybe. No, we're not going to name any names. Relax. Everybody get relaxed.
JK, JK,
JK,
everybody.
JK, JK. But we've been there.
Yeah.
So I feel like I fit into that box. Like, okay, here we are.
We've
And then
arrived in the
we've
box.
arrived in the box. And I was like, okay, new box, new opportunity. And then I was like, time out. This is no. I extracted myself out of that box. And for you, it was kind of the same. Except it wasn't natural for you to put yourself in a box. For me, it was. You
Hmm.
know what I mean, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So
And then I'm in the box.
I don't like, I cannot be,
Like,
I, it's like being
can't say that.
like a mime, exactly.
Yeah, it's
Oh my
ridiculous.
God, like there is no box, but there is a box because it's
And it's so strange because the box was introduced to us by people who are like, be free, like be yourself, be authentic in the box.
in the box.
And y'all, I wait in the box, okay?
You
I
you
wait
did. You did.
and I thought I was doing real good in the box for a hot
Yeah.
minute. I was like, okay, until like, deeper growth and evolution of self. And then I was like, fuck this box.
Did we get out of I can almost imagine us getting out of the box like in boxed form, you
Right.
know? And
From
then you're like still in the shape of the box and but you're starting to kind of like stretch out like those little compressed towels that you put water on and then they
and then
start
they
to
yeah,
expand. Because I don't think we like shattered the box.
no.
We like squeezed ourselves out of the box.
Yeah.
But maybe now we're trying to shine the light in the box.
I think now we're on the outside of the box with our bright lights and we're like, you're in a box. It's a trick.
It's it's a trap.
They say you're free, but I see you. You're in the box.
You're
Yeah.
better than the box. Oh, but they say I'm not ready yet. It's bullshit. Trust me.
It's great out here. Kind
You're
of. No, just kidding.
seriously, but it's like you're great already. Come on, because it's not about not learning. It's not about
No,
not like,
no.
but
It's definitely about like listening to self. I think there's a beautiful dance of being open to growth, being open to be coachable if you choose a mentor. I I mean that's a bulk of what I do in the world. I am a
yeah,
mentor to beautiful humans. So
yeah,
it's not a poo-pooing on mentorship. It's choosing someone who wants you to flourish in being yourself.
yeah,
Not like, hey, mimic this formula, mimic what I do. It's let's support you in digging in and what do you want? Who do
yeah,
you get to be? What's not working? Like what like it's not about fixing, it's not about making you right or wrong. It's just like I mean, my goal is I just want the people that I get to work with, which is always a gift, like to be their best selves in whatever they define that to be. I don't
yeah.
define that. They define that.
Yes, same. I've had the beautiful opportunity to work with people in that capacity. And it's always been about seeing this, like, being able to sort of open up the space and help them like chart this new course. And because a lot of us, and you and I have both benefited from beautiful mentors in our lives that
Oh,
helped us basically like what they do is they help you see you and
yeah.
go look at how magnificent you are. And you may not believe that right now. Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
But like, not, and also, my God, there's so many things I want to say. I have a list of my,
We're gonna do a maybe a part two.
yeah, 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 yeah.
We got a lot.
But I love that you said that we are absolutely in celebration of what we can create together in terms of working with people and having a sounding board. And just having somebody that's like outside of the scope of your life, just like help you sort of like shine a light in new spots and
Yeah.
see other things. Oh my gosh, those moments can be gold and unlock like the one little thing that
Mhm.
you were like, holy moly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then boom.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I love, like, especially working and meeting with someone in those first initial stages. And I feel like I get this visual when I hear what they want to create and like what they want to grow towards. I can see it. Like
Mhm.
I already can picture them in that greatness. And I think that's part of my job. My goal is to hold that. And like you
Mhm.
said, they may not even feel like they can even begin to imagine themselves in that way, but I can. And
Yeah.
so I'm holding it for them while they're on the journey. Like I'm constantly holding that so that when they do get in that rut, because it happens, we all get in the rut, that I can shine the light and be like, hey, remember what
Yeah.
you said? Like, you still feel aligned with that? Awesome, cool. So this is, this is the path there, whatever,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing to have somebody hold that when you're not in that space yet to hold it for yourself.
Hmm. And if we loop back into the whole like choose your adventure,
Mhm.
um, it's again, it's like choose your adventure. Um, and it's almost like, is it like you have somebody help you turn the page, or I don't know, there's something there about it where help me out here.
Well, I think
I'm throwing the talking stick.
oh, hey, what's talking stuff?
Oh, hey,
Oh, looky here. Uh, well, I think what I come across is when you,
I'm like, here I am trying to make sense of it because,
no, so what, oh, sorry.
sorry.
Here we are.
What word
Okay.
is that?
When what I have found is that when I ask someone what do you want to create, it's almost like they don't know because they've never had anybody ask them that. They've
Mhm.
never known that they could create whatever they wanted to.
Mhm.
So it's like, you make it do anything?
Yeah.
I can eat anything? And then it's like almost so much that they don't choose anything.
Mhm.
So I think part of my job in what I do is I help break it down into these like digestible options so somebody can be in movement. Because I think you get stuck in that analysis paralysis, or you just get paralyzed by like, wait a minute, I've been told what I was supposed to do my whole life. Now you're telling me I can make my own choices. I don't even know what that looks like because I've never done it before. And so
Mhm.
I think that's where the support piece comes in, is
Yeah.
helping someone recognize, how do I even make, a good choice for myself? Good
Yeah.
choice. It's aligned with what I want to do. I think that is the biggest thing, is helping someone go, oh, I can make a choice on my own, because then they won't turn the page to whatever the choose your own adventure is, because they'll just sit there staring at it going, I don't know what to do.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. For me, a lot of what I feel in those instances is like I can almost like it's like cast a future vision. It's like it just sort of like I see it. It's like a future potential.
Yeah.
And then kind of like bring it in so
Mhm.
that the person can feel its proximity
Yeah.
and go like, oh. And then a lot of it is the conversations around, well, what's in the way to release? Because when we're like in fight or flight mode, because we've been spending so much time spinning our wheels over something that then it's like, what what can I do? Or you're hearing whatever external voices and messages that you've forgotten, like even like listening to your own intuition that everybody's like, oh, but what do you
Yeah.
mean? Where is that exactly? Like
Right. Right.
point me to that intuition part. And it just takes exploring and it takes softening into that and having this like, these little courageous choice moments to go forward and be so curious, which I know is one of the markers that you and I like stand by and live by,
Mhm.
is the curiosity.
Yeah.
And to bring it back to yesterday, the conversation before I went to the ER that you and I were having around sort of the next steps of things that we want to create and sort of this
Mhm.
like again future casting and dreaming, and that all of that and whatever obstacles come in the way are actually
Part of it.
part
Yeah.
of it. They're part of the way. They're part of showing you something new. And as long as we don't go, oh, here, see, there's another obstacle. That means I have to wait, I have to stop, I have to,
Right.
it's like you just go, oh, okay, this is something else that's going to show me and grow me in some way. And let me, because if not, then we're going to spend our entire life um like moving away from all of the things that are going to happen in life, that then it's like, oh, sorry, then I guess I couldn't do
Yeah.
what I want to do or be who I want to be. Like, what if you don't have a big dream of like doing something? Not
Yeah.
everybody has a big like, oh, I want to, but you want to be free.
Right.
You want to be at peace.
You want to
You
feel
want to
free.
you just want to be you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I always think it's interesting, like if something happens, like somebody gets a flat tire, it's like, God, can you believe this is happening to me right now? And it's like, I feel that way too. Lord, I don't want a flat tire, right? It's
Mhm.
terrible. It causes a disruption. It causes me having to wait for AAA to pull up and support me. And like, God knows they take 2 hours, but I'm thankful. Hashtag blessed. Um, but it's one of those things that if you have a car, stuff's going to come up. If you
Mhm.
have a house, stuff's going to come up. Like it's just a part of life. And I think if we can get out of that, I can't believe this is happening right now, into going, man, this sucks. Okay, so how can I be flexible in this moment? What do I need to shift around to take care of this and then get back on my way? It's
Mhm.
like, I'm not saying don't feel your feels, because I'm never going to be fucking celebrating when I get a flat tire. Like I'm gonna be bummed. But I'm also going to be like, okay, so what do I do next?
Yeah.
And I just because things are going to happen, and I think, you know, if you're alive, things are going to happen. Like, I don't know how anybody escapes it, okay? Like, we're all dealing with things because we're living beings having experiences, interactions, and we are a part of things with other humans that we can't control. And it's like, it's gonna, I don't know. I guess I'm tired of fighting. I'm
Yeah.
tired of fighting the things I cannot change. And it's easier for me and my mental health and my overall well-being to just go into solution mode. Okay,
Yeah.
let me call this. Let me figure this part out instead of just sitting there having a full-blown breakdown.
Yeah. It just takes a lot more energy to be in that sort of paralyzed or breakdown, or
Yeah,
because you're still gonna have to figure out the flat tire unless, you
right.
know,
Yeah.
and that's the same thing that it's like when you're working through something and it's like, oh, well, this happened. So again, I have to like, you know, stop, or this thing got in the way. Like, come on,
Okay. So how do
really?
we figure it out? And I think
Yeah.
having people in your life that want to be a part of that solution, that want to be a part of
Hmm.
like, maybe you need to get your feelings out and you want to just be like, yo, I'm going through this thing and it feels real big and I don't need nothing except for you to witness me and listen to me.
Hmm.
And you like
Hmm.
barf it out to them. And then, and you might need people in your life who are, you're feeling like, yo, I'm stuck. What do I do next? And it's like, bro, let me call it AAA for you.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
it's it's not about not feeling the feelings. It's just like for me, I think about this is a minor disruption in my life. I want to save my energy for the bigger things that I'm going to need them for, the bigger
Hmm.
disruptions. I don't want to let this little stuff trip me up because then it's like I'm out of control of my own power. I'm
Hmm.
constantly giving it away to every
Yeah.
little thing that goes wrong. I'm using air quotes, but they're not going wrong. It's just life.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I was thinking about the power thing too. Like the whole idea of then you're just a victim to all these things that are happening that, and they can escalate to being like really, 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 really shitty. And it's still like, okay, well, we're gonna keep flowing. The choose your own adventure concept does not exist in this sort of perfect
No.
system. Um, and so what are you waiting for? You beautiful person listening and watching.
Mm. Yeah.
You're like,
My-
oh, I'm waiting for classics. Oh, my kids to graduate, or to move to this place, or for me to pay these bills, or for me to, all the normal,
More time.
regular. If any of those things you're like, oh, I'm waiting for that. I mean, sure, there are bigger decisions that need their time and space and have a certain flow, but chances are for you to be you, what,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I agree. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
It's that never having enough time, enough energy, enough money. It's that scarcity piece of there's never enough. And I get it. Like, you know
Yeah.
me, that scarcity is the first thing that comes up in my life is like, oh, I gotta take care of my family. It's
Yeah.
like I gotta, it's the first little thing that pokes at me. So I understand.
Mm-hmm.
I just also know that running around in this chaotic mess would not do me any favors. It's
Mm-mm.
just so life be life and
Mm-hmm.
we do have choice.
Mm-hmm.
And
Always.
yeah, who do you get to be? Like, who do you want to be? Open up that dreamer's journal. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, go get yourself the dreamer's workshop and create your dreamer's journal and get on it. Get on
Create a
it.
dreamer's journal. I'm gonna do some show and tell here while you're talking about the dreamer's journal.
Get on
So
it.
you can get on it. Get on it.
I'm
I
like,
love
what's
every time I open my journal and all the stickers come out. Dreamer's journal. Go get on it. Get inside it. Open up your dreamer's drawer. See what you can find. Mm.
your markers and your glue stick? Thanks.
Mm-mm-hmm.
Mine's outside in the sunshine, or I'd show off mine.
Oh,
Because
oh,
I like to energize my page and I'll put it
oh.
under the moon or I'll put it in the sunshine. And bless, we finally got some sunshine today. So I did a beautiful page yesterday about emergence. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's sitting under the sunshine.
Pro tip, under the sunshine,
Yes.
right?
I love it. Whew. Good talk. It's good.
Good talk.
How you feeling?
Good talk. I feel good. I'm exhausted. And and I feel like, you know what? Everything, oh, and I have glitter all over me, which is chef's kiss. Exactly where I've got to be. And I'm here and I'm present to all the things that are happening in other spaces in my life. And, you know, it
Yeah.
all exists together. And I'm so grateful that we that I chose to add this to my choose your adventure in this moment.
Yeah.
Um,
You could have chosen differently.
yeah. And yeah.
And there ain't no
So,
shame in that game. Like whatever.
oh,
I just want to say that out loud. But
yes.
you chose what you chose
Yeah.
and you're feeling nourished.
Mm-hmm. I
I feel like
am.
I'm putting
I
your words
am.
in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how I'm feeling.
Feeling so nourished. Yeah.
Stage.
Onward.
Yeah. All right. What are our parting words?
Parting words.
All I hear is Jim Morrison's voice going, break on through to the other side. Yeah. Bum, 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 bum. Shh, boom, 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 boom. Those are my parting words.
I like those parting words. And we get to laugh.
Yes, it's good.
Yes. Yes.
Good for us.
Break through all those crusties with laughter as you break on through to the other side. All right, friends, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
And friends.
Bye.